Hey everybody, and welcome to episode number 18 of The Kickabout. And with me, as always, is Dan and Fran.
Oh yeah.
Hi.
So, another busy weekend of football as we get very much into the Christmas fixtures and the Christmas swing of things. Before we get going into that, it's just a quick one to say that the competition has now ended. We will be doing the draw for the winner later on. So thank you for everyone that entered and shared it around and whatnot. And also big thanks to everyone that's just been listening to the show, really, as we run up to Christmas. And without further ado, I suppose we should probably get into this. Down the stack, man.
Every time.
There was no laugh that time, though. Is it waning thin on you now?
No, I love it. I love it still. Still love it.
I'm thinking of changing it to my text message tone every time Dan messages me.
Please do that. Actually, can you send that so that we can set the WhatsApp group to that? I would love it.
Oh my God, it's going to drive Annabelle insane, so I'm all about it. Right, Dan, off you go, son.
Yeah, I'm going. So no player has scored more own goals for Spurs in the Premier League than Toby Alderweireld, but his tally of 3 is level with which other Tottenham player?
Sorry, say that again. Is this an all-time Premier League stat, is it? Or
Yeah, all-time Premier League. No player has scored more own goals for Spurs in the Premier League than Toby Alderweireld, but his tally of 3 is level with which other Tottenham player?
I have a feeling I might know who that is.
Oh, Chris, you say that quite often.
I know. I think it's Toby Alderweireld.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Right. Okay, cool. As usual, we'll get the answer to that later in the show. But before we get into things, I should put a disclaimer in the show that this is likely to be a bit of an Arsenal bashing in this show. Because it doesn't rain. It does indeed pour, though, for Mikel Arteta and Arsenal. It's another defeat, still rooted to 15th place. I mean, it's just getting to the point now where I feel like we're running out of locations to put nails in on Arteta's managerial coffin. Is there any way that he can get himself out of this rut? I mean, how do we think that game went?
Do we think it is his? I mean, obviously a bit of it is to do with his managerial skills / potential lack of, but is it also like the players are not playing for him, or not necessarily playing for him, but the players aren't playing for themselves, for the team, for Arsenal, for anything? Do we think that, or do we put a lot of it just down to Arteta?
I don't know, it's funny because obviously they won the FA Cup last season and everyone was sort of praising how good Arteta is and sort of saying that he could do great things at Arsenal. So I feel like you've now got to go the opposite way and sort of point out all the bad things. I don't think you can give all the praise if you're not going to give the criticism as well.
Mm.
Yeah, and there was a lot of, there has been some stories about dressing room unrest, in particular about the red card to Nicolas Pepe. And supposedly the dressing room was quite unhappy with the way in which Arteta came out publicly and said that, it wasn't acceptable. It was a really poor thing to do and stuff. And I think that potentially does quite kind of sum up where Arsenal are at the moment from a discipline point of view. If they think that is a bad thing that Arteta came out and said it was unacceptable when it quite clearly was. I mean, he headbutted somebody in a match and got himself sent off.
I mean, if it's like a 50-50 challenge or something like that, then yeah, you could probably argue that he shouldn't be saying that. But when, one of your players just headbutts someone, then you're going to be angry and you're going to speak your mind, aren't you?
Yeah, and I think Arteta deserves a little bit of credit for that because, often we talk about people like Chris Wilder who just says it how it is. If Chris Wilder had come out and said that about one of his players and said it was, not acceptable and it was really poor, etc., I doubt anybody in that Sheffield United dressing room is going to say anything because I feel like their team is a much closer knit group. They'll understand that, they'll accept it, and plus they won't have the bollocks to speak up to Chris Wilder anyway.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that's just a sign. Is that just a sign with Arteta that he just doesn't quite have that proper dressing room backing right now?
I think it was Xhaka then got sent off grabbing whoever it was by the throat, and he didn't then publicly have a go at Xhaka. Do you know what I mean? It's sort of one thing for one player and another for another player.
I mean, he sort of did, but he he was more dismissive of it. I will give you that. Somebody said about the red card to Xhaka. How did you view it? And he said, it was obviously it was in a really bad moment for the team and it didn't help us. But yeah, I mean, in theory he probably should have come out and come down on it harder than he did with Pepe's, because I would say Xhaka's was worse, way worse. In fact,
the Xhaka one is worse than the Pepe one because he's physically grabbed his throat and.
So yeah, I mean, it was a strange game. In terms of the game, though, I mean, no Aubameyang due to a calf injury, and it sounds like he's going to be missing the Carabao Cup quarter-final as well. 5 of their last 7 games now have resulted in defeat. And Souness on Sky Sports has said that he said they're struggling, they're not playing with much effort, desire, or fire in their bellies. Do we think Arsenal have got the stomach for this? I know it sounds stupid, but this relegation fight, because if they're not careful, they're going to be in one.
Yeah, I was going to actually put the question out to Pete and ask how he feels about playing Arsenal home and away next season.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what it is. I mean, it does seem ridiculous to even suggest that Arsenal would be in a relegation fight. But when the question was put to Alan Shearer on Match of the Day, he even turned around and said, I think the question was asked him in quite a jokingly way. And Shearer said, no, do you know what? With that current team and the way they're currently playing and the lack of desire in that team, do not discount them from being involved in a relegation fight.
But then you have to remember that, like, if they won 3 matches in a row, they'd probably be back near the top again. Potentially. A lot of variance in that.
I don't think they obviously will be relegated.
No, me neither.
I would love to see that.
I think they've already potentially distanced themselves from qualifying for Europe for next season.
I mean, and for Arsenal, that's a huge blow. If they don't even make Europa League next year, I mean, where do they go from there? It's potentially a very downward spiral from there. But I mean, once they went behind, it was a slightly unfortunate goal, but they never really looked to get him. Sorry, I'm talking about the second goal. So when the second goal went in from Yerry Mina just before half time, they just never really looked like getting back into it, did they? They just never looked like they really believed in themselves that they could get something from the game.
No, and I mean, even right at the last minute, when they're sort of putting crosses across the goal line, like no one was in there to get on the end of them. No one really had the desire to get in there and try and find a late equaliser. Yeah.
The stats continue to make for a very grim reading for Arsenal and their fans. I mean, they've not scored from open play in their last 5 outings now. Long-range efforts only really in this game. And Willian, again, really, really struggling. He has not been the player that I think Arsenal thought they were getting, have they?
No, he hasn't been. He started his first game really well. He got like 2 assists. And I think he's had 1 shot on target all season.
Yeah, which is, for a player of his quality, is absolutely dreadful. And he's a senior player as well. So Arsenal do have quite a young squad. So, they will be looking to players like him, to David Luiz, to Aubameyang as well. Those guys are the ones that need to sort of stand up and be counted and really set an example for those younger players. And it's just not happening. I mean, I don't even know where you would start with Arsenal to try and repair these issues. Is it purely just down to investment? Have they not got the squad for this? Would a new manager solve all these problems?
Yeah, I don't know, because it's not, we've been saying with City, it's like mainly a striker issue, whereas Arsenal, I think I've said it before, I can't pick out one position where I'd say, if they fix that, they'll start picking up results. It's sort of like the entire team, really.
What if they change the manager? Do you think they'd pick up results?
I don't know if it is all.
So he's at West Brom now. They've missed the chance.
I don't know if it is all the manager. I would say it's 50-50, partly maybe the manager is in over his head and partly the players just don't seem to have the desire.
I mean, Arteta won't have experienced this. I mean, he, when he was at Man City, even though he wasn't in charge, at no point during his time at Man City and his kind of learning experience, if you like, did they ever have a slump such as this. So, and it's very different. It's very easy to keep things going when times are good, when the team is playing well. But when the team is down, that's when you kind of sort the men from the boys, so to speak, in terms of the good managers from the bad ones. Who can arrest a slump? Famously, Alan Pardew was horrific for that. If the team was playing well, he was all about it, like with Newcastle, for example, when he got them up into like 4th and 5th. And then as soon as they started losing games, he couldn't arrest that, and he ended up getting sacked. And that was the story of his entire career, really, at every club he's been to. But from Everton's point of view, interesting stat, actually. Yerry Mina's last 4 Premier League goals have all been scored in the 45th minute, as Everton picks the perfect time to score, as it proved to be the winner. That's a crazy stat, isn't it? Every goal he scored in the Premier League, or the last 4 rather, have been in the 45th minute.
That's weird.
But yeah, Everton, they've picked up nicely now. I mean, they did have a blip, didn't they? And now they're undefeated in 4. They've won their last 3. This win actually did put them second briefly until the other games played out over the weekend. But they've got some potentially tricky games coming up. But now they look good again. I think they're definitely back in this top 6 fight, aren't they?
Yeah, I think all the top 6 teams are going to be yo-yoing up and down, depending on who they play. And
I think it's going to be very on and off, just purely because the amount of fixtures. Like at the moment, Liverpool are obviously riding pretty high.
Yeah, and I think that they'll have another blip as well, and United will have a blip, and then
Tottenham are in their blip.
Tottenham will go back up again. I think it's going to be a very sort of yo-yo-y season,
which is good though. Love that.
It's interesting.
Yeah, and it makes for an interesting recording from our point of view, because it's seemingly like the title picture and the European picture is changing with every game that passes. So key for Everton, though, they've got to keep their players fit. That's that goes without saying, I suppose. But the blip did coincide with an injury to Richarlison, and it's perhaps no surprise that now he's back in the side again. Everton are back winning again. I know you said a stat before, Dan, about how is it like they've never won without him in the side or something stupid?
They've never won a game since he signed for them without him in the team. Yeah.
So do we think that actually he's not potentially given the credit that he deserves? I mean, we've talked all season about how Dominic Calvert-Lewin's been amazing and Rodriguez has picked up a lot of plaudits as well, but it seems like Richarlison is actually their key player, not the other two.
Yeah, being as they signed him in 2018, I think that stat sort of says it all, really.
That's mental.
Yeah, I think he is very underrated. He's such a direct player. When he gets the ball, he's just so positive. He wants to go at people. He wants to try and take them on. I think his defensive side of the game, his work rate off the ball, is also quite underrated as well. So right, okay, let's move on. There'll be other Arsenal bashing opportunities, no doubt, in the weeks to come. So we'll move on to Palace against Liverpool. Liverpool have now successfully countered that Villa result from a goal difference point of view. But what a performance this was from Liverpool. I mean, the tone was set early. We spoke probably just a few days ago, actually, about Liverpool and how they sort of keep winning despite the injury list that they've got. But this was the first time they've properly flexed their muscles this season, would you say?
Yeah, and you could see that every single player was trying to get on that score list, especially the way Mane sort of sulked when he came off.
Yeah, I was going to come to that, but I guess let's talk about it now. I mean, where do you guys come down on this? Because it's often said that no player should be happy to come off. They should be wanting to play, etc. So therefore, it's fine to be noticeably unhappy when you're subbed, within reason. But then the argument is, should he be doing it? He's part of a team. There's obviously a lot of football over Christmas, and Klopp is going to need to rotate that team. So where do you guys come down on this? Should he be a bit more respectful, or do you like the fact that he was that unhappy?
No, I think it's good that he's unhappy.
It's nice to see the passion. Sometimes you don't see that. Like, look at Arsenal, for example. I think all of them would be like, I'm off.
Well, I think it's good that Klopp subbed him off, because obviously they were easily winning that game. They don't need Mane on the pitch anymore. You might as well save him for another game. But I do think it's good that he sort of had a little strop. And as long as it doesn't carry on, as long as it ends there, then I don't think it's a problem.
Yeah, I mean, I've not heard anything since this game to suggest that there was any more to this than what we saw at the time. And then just going back to the game for a moment. So do you get a feeling that Liverpool are now really beginning to hit the accelerator? They've obviously had a bit of an off start to the season, but now it really feels like they're trying to put their foot down and pull away from the pack chasing.
Yeah, they're starting to sort of get their squad stable again, aren't they? After all these injuries and that, they're starting to get a bit more of a stable squad.
Yeah.
And Firmino's scoring goals again now.
Yeah, which is a big plus for him, especially with Diego Jota now supposedly out until February. So this is Firmino's time to kind of, cement that position and sort of say to everybody, yes, Jota's come in and done well, but don't forget about me. I'm still here. I'm still very much integral to this team. So, the first goal he scored, I think it was his first goal. What a first touch that was from the pass from Robertson.
Yeah. I mean, well, I'll talk about my team of the week later, but that's part of the reason I put Robertson in my team of the week, to be honest. He was on fire in that game.
Yeah, he was. Salah obviously scored a very Salah-esque goal towards the end, coming off a mile around the hour mark. There has been something I didn't actually put in the notes because I didn't have time to change it, but there has been some talk today that Salah is actually not happy at Liverpool.
Yeah, I saw that in the paper that apparently he's looking to move away, which I don't really understand why.
See ya.
It's very strange. So supposedly, from what I've read, and I've not read into this massively in great detail just because of how late I saw the news before we started recording. From what I understand, it's from a friend or a close friend of Salah's who has basically said that he is unhappy at Liverpool. He has his reasons. I don't think they went into any details to what those reasons are, but the rumor is that Liverpool will cash in on Salah and allow him to leave. This to me just doesn't sound right because I'm not seeing any indication in Salah's body language and how he's playing that he's not anything but very, very happy at Liverpool.
Man, Liverpool are kind of the team to be at the moment, aren't they? Won the Champions League, won the Premier League. I'm not really sure why you would want to move elsewhere. I mean, even to go to a team like Real Madrid, they're not exactly lighting the La Liga or the Champions League up at the moment.
No, I mean, unless it's a family personal reason, perhaps. But yeah, you would say in terms of if you look at the European teams, the only other two teams in Europe, maybe three teams, would be possibly Bayern Munich, possibly PSG, possibly Juventus. Other than that, I don't see any other European destination that would be a step up from where Liverpool are right now.
No, neither do I.
So, as far as the result goes, this is from a Liverpool's point of view, they've registered an away top flight margin of victory of 7 goals for the first time in their history, while it was the first 7-goal league victory since a 9-0 win over Crystal Palace in September 1989. And Sadio Mane has become only the 4th player in Premier League history to score in 7 consecutive appearances against the same opponent, after Robin van Persie did it in 8 games on the trot against Stoke. Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank did it 7 times on the trot against West Ham. Of course he did. And Romelu Lukaku did it 7 times on the trot against West Ham. Of course he did. So, yeah, I mean, Palace didn't pick the best game to have an off performance, and they really did find Liverpool at their best. Is this one of those games you just kind of write off and move on and just sort of forget about it, as Hodgson alluded to?
Yeah, I think so. I don't, they're not going to get smashed by teams like that every week. I think it was just one of those games. Liverpool were on fire in that game, and like you say, it's just forget it and move on. And I don't know who they've got next.
I'm not sure either. Actually, it wasn't something I looked into. Wilfried Zaha, just want to talk to him about him for a moment. So we've mentioned before, Palace are very lucky to have him. He's currently only 28 years old, so he's still very much in the prime of his career. Do you think he looks at a team like Liverpool, especially having played against them at the weekend, and thinks, you know what, I need to be in a team like that. I need to be, in a team that's picking apart teams like that, playing that level of football? Or do you think he is genuinely happy where he is? I mean, Dean Ashton on TalkSport said that sometimes players don't realise that sometimes it's not all about trophies and about medals. You can actually create something just as good by staying at a club, creating a kind of legacy and being part of the history of that club. Do you think that's what Zaha is doing?
Tottenham.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, the question's been thrown about him. Does he want to leave and win trophies? And we're not at the moment seeing any indication of him wanting out.
No, but talking about Zaha, I do think he should maybe go for sort of one last move before his career starts to dampen down. Because I think he's a player that should be sort of playing Europa League or Champions League football.
Should be like a Leicester.
Yeah, like a Leicester or a Wolves, although he's not Portuguese, so he probably wouldn't get in Wolves' team.
Yeah, actually, I think Leicester would be a good move for him. Or maybe Everton.
Yeah,
Everton be banging. Yeah. Everton or Leicester, I would say, be good.
Yeah, I mean, it is interesting because there are very few players that I can think of, with the exception of people like Harry Kane, Mark Noble for West Ham, who are sort of the one club players. The days of that do seem to have very much come to an end. But it is interesting when you say that, because when I think back to the legends of West Ham, the majority of them are ones that were at the club for a very, very long time. Obviously people like Dimitri Payet gave us an incredible season and a half for when he was with us, but I would never class him as a club legend.
No.
I wonder how much that comes into players thinking. Do they want to be seen as that, or do they not care?
It depends how much they support the club, I think. I could see someone like Marcus Rashford being a one club player.
Yeah, that's a good shout, actually. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, but I suppose part of me does hope that Dean Ashton has had this chat with Declan Rice, though, after hearing rumours about his move to Chelsea again. So hopefully Declan Rice won't be leaving West Ham anytime soon, because boy, do we need him. So, right, we're going to head for a quick break. When we come back, we're going to do more Premier League chat, and we will reveal the winner of our first ever Kickabout competition that ended today. See you in a minute. Yeah, okay. We'll say if Joe Morton wins, the stipulation is it's a Tottenham shirt. Unfortunately, Chelsea, we checked and Chelsea are all sold out, so you have to have a Tottenham shirt. Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the show. So before we go on, let's kick right into our competition. So the competition finished today at 6:00, and we asked the following question. Wigan famously won the 2013 FA Cup final thanks to a goal from Ben Watson. But who did they beat in the final? The answer, of course, was Manchester City. That was the main entry or the way you entered into the competition, but there were other ways of giving yourself more chances to win. So now we're going to reveal the winner. I'm going to click the button. Hopefully you're going to hear the click. Oh, here we go. It's taking a while. It's taking a while. The winner is Craig Thorburn. He lives in Kilmarnock. So thank you very much, Craig. We will be in touch. I've got your details here, so I will be in touch with you sometime later this evening or tomorrow to let you know that you've won, and we will organise getting a replica shirt of your choice sent out to you. So thank you very much to everybody that entered. We're hoping to do more competitions again in the future, and Merry Christmas to you, Craig. Right. So just a quick reminder, other Christmas shows. Obviously, I know we were talking about this, so we are going to be doing another Christmas show. So next Monday's show it will be released on the Monday rather than recorded on the Monday, just because of the way the fixtures fall. So we're going to be recording on the 27th this Sunday for the show to come out on the 28th. And then we will do a recording just a couple of days later and have one come out on the 31st. And that will conclude our extra festive shows. Right. Listener segment. So I have to hold my hands up. Unfortunately, I did put this out a little late, and we did get 2 comments. One was from Joe Morton, which was just "Come on, Chelsea," because they're playing West Ham currently. And the other one was from Pit for Pete Thurgood, which was a little bit too un-PC to read on air. But to answer your question, Pete, I'm sure that has happened. But
in reply to Joe's comment, though, Chelsea are currently
doing well.
Oh, are they winning already? Are they?
Yeah.
What's the score?
1-0.
Okay, well, it's still early. It's fine. Right. So, talking of Dan and his hard-ons, let's talk about Man United versus Leeds. So, Ollie is at the wheel, Dan. I mean, are you in the Ollie camp yet? Are you beginning to lean across to it?
No, I don't think I'm going to change my mind, not until the end of the season. I'll give until the end of the season, I think, and see where we're at. See if we've improved. But I'll take my hat off. I've been very critical, so now I've got to praise him and say he got it completely right against Leeds.
Yeah, I mean, it was a game that could easily have finished like 12-6. It could have been a bloody cricket score, this one. And we do have to give credit where credit is due. Man United were excellent. Rather than go through all the goals, because there were some good ones, but we'd be here a while, I'd kind of like to start first about we've talked about Richarlison and how he's quite underrated, but also McTominay. He now seems to be a real trusted member of this United team, and he's becoming a very, very important player under Solskjaer. And when I was watching him, I don't know if it's just me, but I see a little bit of Michael Carrick in him in the way he glides around the pitch.
Yeah, he's a bit of an engine player. He's just sort of constantly running and getting stuck in, and I think that's what he's there to do. He's not exactly graceful, and he's not a flair player or a creative player, but he's constantly running and constantly getting stuck in.
Is he
Sort of-
though?
yeah. He reminds me of Ander Herrera, what Ander Herrera used to be.
Like every game though?
Well, no, because they don't play every game.
What, like so every single game.
Well, no,
That's
not
it.
every
That's it,
game.
Fran. Fucking
Every
batter him
single
down,
game
bring
that
him back
he-
down to earth.
Yeah, he's running around.
I feel like I've heard you say some crosswords to him in the
Yeah,
past.
I think he's shite, but
I mean, obviously he's not going to be in the caliber of Michael Carrick just yet. But the way in which he was gliding around the pitch, his pass accuracy was superb. His choice of passing was also very good as well. And the 2 early goals from him kind of set the tone for the game. I believe the stat that I saw suggested that this was the first time that a Premier League player has scored 2 goals in the first like 3 or 4 minutes of a game. In the entire Premier League history, so it was a ruthless start, and that kind of set the tone for the rest of the game. Was this a game where Leeds' style kind of played directly into Man United's hands?
yeah, 100%. Well, I mean, everyone knew what Leeds were going to do, didn't they? I mean, me and you both knew what Leeds were going to do, and obviously Solskjaer knew what Leeds were going to do. And United have played very counter-attacking all season, so I'm surprised Bielsa didn't know what United were going to do, or maybe he did, and he just still wanted to play his way of football. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, Bielsa came out during the week, and he was asked that question about whether he would change his style and change his approach, and he's basically said that they're not going to compromise on their style. This obviously in turn means that they're going to get thumped every now and then because they're going to get caught out. It's not going to work every time. I mean, we've obviously praised Leeds. We've said how amazing they are to watch, and that continues to be the case. Even when they get thumped, it's still a very entertaining game. But do you think it's quite naive from Leeds? I mean, if you're a Leeds fan, do you want to be this open all the time, or would you rather see a bit more of a flexibility in your tactical approach to some of these games?
Yeah, I think you do have to, approach every game differently. You can't approach every game exactly the same because every team plays differently. Even the sort of likes of Liverpool, Man City sort of change their tactics from time to time. They don't go into every single game. Well, I mean, like City did against United, like Pep changed his tactics to try and rule out the counter-attack that United sort of beat them with before. And that's how good Pep is as a manager.
I mean, there were 43 shots on goal in this game. I think like 27 of those were from United. I mean, if this was any other team in the league, if this wasn't Bielsa, if this wasn't Leeds, all of the narrative around this would be, how can you possibly allow that many shots on your goal? That means that you've had, by all accounts, a very poor game, right? But because it's Leeds, we seem to sort of brush over it and say, it's just Leeds, it's just how they play.
Yeah, I mean, I say every week that they are really entertaining to watch. Like, I enjoy watching Leeds more than most teams in the Premier League. But in terms of results, I mean, anyone that watched Match of the Day where they did the analysis, United were constantly 3-on-3 going forwards.
For me, it just kind of feels a little bit like Football Manager. When you're playing games and you kind of you just kind of can't be asked to keep changing your tactics, and you kind of things are going well, you just keep hitting continue. You just throw out the same team with the same tactics. You don't really change much, and that kind of feels like what it is.
Yeah.
But then I guess the other side of the coin is that if a team goes to a club like United or City or Liverpool and they just park the bus and desperately try and get a 0-0 or maybe snatch a draw or even a win if they can just nick a goal, and we often criticize teams for doing that because you think, well, you're going to a big club like that, it's a free hit, no one cares if you're going to lose 2 or 3-0 because you're expected to, so why not go and have a go? So I guess there's that argument to it as well.
Well, I don't think it's a free hit like Leeds playing Man United. I think that would have hurt Leeds United fans.
Yeah, that's what I mean, though. So, where do you draw the line on this? Yes, they've lost 6-2. They've still scored 2 goals. They actually did play quite well. I know they were very open, and Calvin Phillips was left horrifically exposed throughout that game. But it's not like they turned up and put in an absolute stinker of a performance. It's just United were in the mood and capitalised on a poor tactical setup.
Yeah, so, I don't think it was a team performance that was poor. I think it was just tactically poor. So I think, if you were to rate the team, I'd sort of say they're in the above averages to good. But if you were to rate the manager's tactics, I'd say he was poor.
Yeah, no, I agree. But I guess this is what we're going to have from Leeds, right? I mean, we know we're going to be praising them one week like we were last week when they smashed Newcastle, and then this week we're going to be kind of sitting and scratching our heads as to how you can go from one performance like that against Newcastle to this. But it's weird because I genuinely can't think of another team in recent Premier League times that are so happy to play this way in the Premier League and trust that their style. Sorry,
especially one that's just come up as well.
Yeah, and I can't recall one that ever trusts their staff so much that will keep them in the league. So I have to take my hat off to Bielsa and Leeds for continuing this approach. But it'd be interesting to see how that pans out across an entire season because their goals conceded column is going to make for pretty grim reading, I suspect, if they keep playing like this against the big teams.
Yeah.
So right, but no, all positive stuff for United. We've spoken about their league position. So yeah, if United can keep this run going, they are the form team in the league now as well. So this is it's positive times for United right now.
Yeah, be interested to see how we do against Everton in the cup this week as well. Hopefully we can keep that going and get to the semi-finals. That'd be quite nice.
Yeah, I mean Solskjaer's got this in him. He's gone on long winning runs before with United. But I know exactly the answer to this question is going to be from you because you do kind of, it's a case of if not when it's going to come to an end. And then when it does come to an end, it's going to be, awful and crap and depressing for 3 or 4 games until he gets his arse back in gear and then they go again. So, yeah.
For me, I just look with Ollie, I say the same question to myself all the time. Like, can I see Ollie winning the Premier League and the Champions League? And I just don't think I can see that happening.
Okay, well, I guess we'll, Christmas period being very busy.
Wrong. If he proves me wrong, I will put my hands up.
Well, let's see where you are in about a month's time after all these Christmas fixtures and whatnot. And if the run is still going on and you're right on Liverpool's tails, then I guess we have to maybe think about reevaluating what we think of Solskjaer. But until that happens, we will continue to doubt him. How about that? So let's move on to Spurs against Leicester. I wasn't actually going to talk about this game particularly because it wasn't a massively exciting game, this one. But I thought it's worth including just because of the gravity of the result and what the result means for the overall sort of top 4 picture. With Liverpool's it's their big win and the way they're playing at the moment and the way United are playing. This was a big game for Spurs and Brendan Rodgers getting one over on Mourinho. That's going to really piss Mourinho off, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's the first time I don't know if I'm stealing a stat or anything, but it's the first time Brendan Rodgers has beaten a Mourinho team.
No, you're right. I didn't have that stat down. No, it was a very boring first half, quite frankly. That's the only way I can really say it. And then the only real moment of talking or to talk about in the first half was, I don't think the question is, was it stupid, but more how stupid was Serge Aurier's challenge towards the end of that first half.
Yeah. It's literally him like last season, or because he's calmed down. I think he's come. He's come like a quite a long way, I think, as a player. But even from watching, obviously, we were watching the Tottenham thing on Prime. Like Mourinho said, one of the first things about Serge Aurier is "You worry me."
Yeah, he said,
I'm scared of you
because he's scared of him in the box
of his temper.
Because he gives away stupid penalties. The thing is, like the ball's in the air. He's facing away from goal. And Aurier doesn't even look at the ball. He's head down. He just runs flat out.
He's just like, I'm going to take this guy out.
Yeah, it's the stupidest challenge I've ever seen.
But he's probably got bollocking for it.
I should imagine he has. I mean, the biggest surprise for me was actually the fact that it wasn't given on the field, that it took, about a minute of play to go on and VAR had to give it.
I think they were hoping the ball would go out, didn't they? But it didn't go out, and the ref was just sort of stood there with his whistle in his mouth.
Yeah, there was genuinely a feeling amongst all the players, like, "Come on, I know you're going to go to VAR. Just blow your whistle. Should we kick it out?" It was almost like when a player's down injured and players aren't sure whether they should kick it out or not. But it's a crazy challenge, and obviously it was dispatched expertly by Leicester. I think it was Jamie Vardy that took the penalty, wasn't it? Yeah. So, and then we had the VAR goal ruled out for James Maddison, and then a rather unfortunate own goal from Toby Alderweireld towards the end of the game, or middle part of the second half, I think it was, set with the game. would it be fair to say, sorry, that Spurs just didn't get going in this one, really?
Yeah, just wasn't their night.
Yeah, I think Rodgers set out to sort of nullify.
They knew what Son and Kane were going to do,
Yeah.
which it's fine. It's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, obviously that point was very much highlighted on Match Today and the way they analysed the game with James Justin and Mark Albrighton really doing a job on Son in particular, really down that left-hand side. Have we seen a little bit of a recipe, excuse me, for how you can stifle Spurs and their attacking play? Are you saying that as an objective Spurs fan, or are you saying that because you don't want the secret out?
I think Spurs have more I don't know what the word is, like things up their sleeve.
I don't think they're a one-trick pony.
Yeah.
No, neither do I. But it was very much an obvious game plan from Leicester to stifle that out, and unfortunately, it didn't come off for Spurs. I mean, they did have a few chances. It wasn't like Spurs didn't create anything. But no winning 3 now for Spurs. If they're kind of serious about pushing Liverpool for the title and maintaining that real top 4 charge, then they do need to get back to winning ways pretty quickly, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
They got bloody Liverpool again in like 3 weeks.
Well, I mean, that'll be the game to really kickstart the run again, I suppose, if they can turn Liverpool over. It would be
celebrating in Klopp's face, I think. If they
So, right, let's move on. Last game we're going to talk about this week is Villa against West Brom. Now, this chat obviously takes on more importance now in terms of the result because of what Burnley did to Wolves earlier this evening with a massive 2-1 victory for Burnley. I know that also has a lot of effect on the bottom part of the table. I know that also means that Burnley are now out of the relegation places. They've gone up to 16th now. So for West Brom, obviously I predicted that there might be a new manager bounce. I think we all actually went in the predictions for a West Brom win here. We were quite wrong, weren't we?
Did we?
Did we all predict West Brom to win?
I don't think I predicted West Brom to win.
Well, according to my predictions, I went 1-0 West Brom, and you guys went 2-0 West Brom. Unless I got that wrong when I wrote it down.
We're genuine. I
said Villa.
I swear I said Villa. We'll have to listen back to last week.
Okay, all right. I will go back and listen to it and find out. But anywho, obviously the new manager bounce didn't happen. I guess what will worry Allardyce more is the manner in which the goals were scored. I mean, all 3 of the goals, there was no real pressure on the ball. They didn't work Villa at all. And when they've got players like Grealish who can really hurt you, it was pretty routine in the end for Villa, wasn't it?
Yeah, I feel like it could have been more goals as well. Their keeper actually had a good game, even though he did end up conceding 3.
Yeah, it's a sign of a struggling team when constantly your goalkeeper is getting praised every week for his performances. You kind of know that something's not quite right in the team if that's the sort of the story around the team every single week. One player that won't be playing for the next couple of weeks is Jake Livermore. He was really on one in this game, wasn't he? I mean, he already left one on Grealish earlier in the game, like the first 5 minutes. But then the red card, I mean, that was just stupid, a bit like Serge Aurier, just utter stupidity, wasn't it?
Right. Yeah, and it was a bit of a disgusting challenge, to be honest. It was very high, and he sort of went in like a bull in a china shop.
I mean, the whistle had already, if I remember this rightly, the whistle had already gone. And the lunge, I mean, there was absolutely no intent to play that ball whatsoever from Jake Livermore. So I should imagine that Allardyce will be very disappointed seeing his club captain acting that way. There was chat that Villa might have had a red card for the challenge on Diangana. I forget the name of the Aston Villa centre-back that did it. Did you guys see this incident? What did you guys think of whether this should have been a red or not?
I saw it, but was it his arm? Did he fling his arm in his face?
No, this was the one where he kind of stepped over the ball, missed the ball, and as he went to plant his foot, he just sort of planted it on the ankle of Diangana. And I guess just the momentum just meant that his foot stayed pressed on Diangana's ankle for a couple of seconds while he got his balance.
I know the challenge you're on about. I didn't actually see him do that, to be fair, because at the time I was wondering why it was even a foul, but obviously I missed him put his boot into his ankle.
Yeah, it's one of those ones. He's not gone in. He's not stamped on him. He's not. For me, it's not reckless. Is he endangering the safety of an opponent? Not really. It's not a nice challenge at all, and it's one of those ones that looks a lot worse when you slow it down. But I do think that was probably the correct decision on a yellow card for there. Moving on to what Allardyce will think of, or what sort of job he's got on here. I mean, he'll be well aware of the fact that he's not been relegated as a Premier League manager. I'm sure he reminds people of that fact, as would I, in fairness, if that was my record. And he has got some very poor teams out of trouble, but even by his standards, this is one hell of a job he's got on here, isn't it?
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see if the board let him do anything in the transfer market or not.
I'm not actually sure. I know they've got Chinese ownership, but I don't know how much financial weight they have.
I don't think they spent a lot in the summer, did they? They bought, obviously, Dingana from you guys.
Yeah, I think that was about 16 odd million. It wasn't very much because I know that was a big, from West Ham's point of view, that was a real sort of kick in the teeth that we let a young, promising player go for so cheap. But I mean, he's not really, doing a great deal at West Brom, but then he is in a poor team. So can you really put all that blame at him? But I don't know. They do need to do something though. They do need investment in that team. No team with the points tally that West Brom have now after 14 games have ever stayed up. So if Allardyce is going to keep his record intact, he's going to have to break the record books to do it. So can you see them staying up, or do you think they're?
I still think it's very close down there. I mean, I think the only team I would say that I can't see staying up for sure is probably Sheffield at the moment.
Yeah,
but I mean, Fulham and West Brom keep grabbing the odd result, and sort of bouncing up and down, in and out of relegation. So I think it's still all to play for with the bottom teams. Obviously, the way Sheffield United keep sort of conceding these late equalisers, and we're quite a few games in now, I just can't see them staying up.
Yeah. Did you see the interview with Chris Wilder after the game? It was so awkward because the I can't remember if it was the Sky correspondent or whether it was the BBC guy or whoever. He was trying to sort of butter this up a little bit and it's putting lipstick on a pig, the expression of trying to make something sound better than it actually is. And he was desperately trying to find positives in this performance and the fact that they've got a point. And you could see Chris Wilder was like, "Shut up, mate! Like, we've just thrown away 3 points again," sort of thing. And he sort of said, it's you've conceded a late goal again, but it is a point. It's something to build on. And Chris was like, "Yeah, well, it didn't take much to double our points tally, did it?" Which I thought
they could have lost it all right at the end as well. Brighton at the crossbar.
Yeah. So, but anyway, to West Brom, it's not getting any easier. They've got Liverpool next, then they've got Leeds, and then they've got a relegation 6-pointer against Newcastle. Sorry, not Newcastle, Arsenal on the 2nd of January. It's a big Christmas for them. They need to get these games out of the way. If they are to lose them, it's not the end of the world. Those 3 teams are going to be strong. They cannot get smashed, and they've got to do something about their leaky defense if they want to survive this season.
Yeah, I think if Allardyce plays it right, he could get a result against Leeds.
Yeah, I think he could as well. I mean, you don't know what you're going to get with Leeds, to be honest. As we've said before, they can be ruthless, but they can also be extremely open. So Allardyce will for sure need to target that game as one they can get points from. So before we move on to our final few bits, I just want a quick special mention for Matt Ritchie. Did you see the own goal for Newcastle?
Yeah.
Oh my God, Dan rewound it like a couple of times and made me watch it. It was literally
it's got to be one of the funniest own goals I've seen for ages. The utter panic on his face as he tried to get out of the way of the ball as it hit him in the face. Oh, it was brilliant. If you haven't seen that, I do recommend going on YouTube and checking that out. It was absolutely hilarious. Right. What we're going to do is I'm just going to put a slight little edit in right now. So that I can go back and check those predictions to make sure that I haven't got it wrong, that you guys predicted the Villa
I don't know. Maybe you are right.
No, I'm positive I would have said Villa to win that game. I think Chris trying to cheat us again.
Again? I take umbrage with that remark. Right. Anyway, we should be back. We should be back in just a few moments. Right.
Confident. If I'm wrong, I will apologise live on air.
Okay. Can I go back? Okay. That's Spurs Leicester game.
Oh no, maybe I did. I swear I would have said Villa. I was tired though. I feel like I was a bit out of it.
Right, here we go. Okay. Right, I have an answer for you.
Okay.
You were quite right. You both went 2-0 Villa. Damn it.
I
Right.
thought so. I didn't think I'd have gone West Brom.
When you said, we all said West Brom, and I was like, did we?
Well, that makes the scores look a lot less close than they were before that. That's frustrating. The actual result was 3-0, wasn't it? So you still only get a point.
You get the 1 point.
Right. So, just a quick run through of the scores on the doors from the predictions. So we all predicted correctly Liverpool win, but obviously none of us got the score correct. So we'll get a point each there. Me and Fran both correctly guessed an Everton win against Arsenal. So we get a point there, but not the right result. Looking down the list, Brighton against Sheffield United. I correctly picked I'll start that again. Correctly picked a 1-1 for 3 points.
Well done.
I correctly picked a Man United win. I almost got the right total number of goals because I went for a 4-3 win. So I'm not far. I've got the total amount of goals correct, but unfortunately still only get a point for that. And then, as we mentioned, Dan and Fran get a point each for correctly picking Villa to beat West Brom on a judge's challenge. So VAR, yeah. The overall picture then, so after 2 game weeks worth of picking out the predictions, we've got 6 for Fran, 8 for me, and 10 for Dan, who's in the lead as he is in every game that we play on this show. We need to find a way of stopping this, Fran.
Well, should try dating him. There's no way.
Well, hang on, that's on you. I can't. You bought a house with the man, so you know. Right. Okay. So while we're at it, let's do our predictions then for this upcoming weekend's games. So we start with the first game of the weekend on Saturday, which is Leicester against Manchester United.
Oof. Bloody hell.
I'll let you go first, Fran.
Chris.
I think this could be a fantastic game. I really do. I think this could be both teams are going to go for it. Obviously Leicester are going to come at United, which plays into their hands a little bit. So I can see this being a high scoring game. I'm going to go 3-2 United.
Yeah, I was going to say 3-2 United. I think we'll go 2-0 down and then win 3-2.
I'm going to go 3-3.
Do you think it's got to the point now where United are actively allowing the other team to score when you're playing away, just so that they can come back and win?
Well, I saw Solskjaer said he was going to pop a balloon in the dressing room before the game to wake everybody up.
Oh, he must have popped a whole load of them before the Leeds game then. Okay, so Fran, sorry, you went 3-3, did you?
Yeah.
Okay. Aston Villa against Crystal Palace.
Villa 2-1.
Nice. I'm going to go 2-2 on that one.
I'm going to go 1-1 that one. I think that will be a draw. Fulham against Southampton.
I'm going to go 2-0 Southampton.
3-0 Southampton.
Oh, I'm going to go.
I love a big score.
I've backed Fulham in every game they've played so far, and they've let me down. So I'm going to go 2-0 Southampton as well. So I'm looking forward to a 1-0 Fulham win in that game. Arsenal against Chelsea, massive game this one.
Yeah, I don't know how to call that one.
I'm gonna go. I don't know. I think I'm gonna go Chelsea, like 3-0.
I'm gonna go 1-0 Arsenal.
Oh, controversial. You think Arsenal will
I think
find a win?
they've got to get a win at some point. I could maybe see it being at Chelsea, a big game, getting everybody up for it.
Did anybody hear that as you said that? Oh, that's right. That was just Joe Morton smashing his phone on the floor. I'm going to go... I can see this. I'm going to go the middle. I think this will be a draw. I think this will be 1-1.
Oh, maybe I've gone too much the other way.
I mean, the way Arsenal are playing, it could absolutely easily be that scoreline.
I'm just.
You win some, you lose some.
I think if I was putting money on it, I'd probably put money on a draw, but I'm just gonna go with my first instinct and say Arsenal to win.
Okay, Man City against Newcastle.
I'm gonna go 3-1 Man City for that one.
Chris?
I've got a feeling that every now and then City will turn in a performance and they'll smash someone. And I think this could be the game. I'm going to go 4-0 City.
I'll go 3-0 City.
I love how we've all gone high scores and they've only been scoring like 1 goal a game the last few weeks.
I got faith.
I know, but as I say, I think it's coming. I think sooner or later they're going to do it. They're going to hit someone for a big score.
They're going to do a Liverpool last week.
Hopefully it'll be this week.
Sheffield United against Everton.
Or I'd go Everton 3-0.
Yeah, I think I'd say 3-0 Everton as well.
I want Sheffield United to win a game. I really do, but I don't think they're going to win this one. So I'm going to go 2-0 Everton. But I do hope that Sheffield United don't go down this season with a whimper. I mean, they're forecasted 2.97 points this season on current form.
Wow.
I mean, I know normally you'd round up in that case, but with Sheffield United, you could probably round down, couldn't you? But yeah, I do hope Sheffield United do pick up some wins. And
already made Premier League history with the worst start, haven't they?
Yeah, so if they go down with a whimper like they are now, it's going to be awful for the club to go down like that. But you know, they've got to start finding ways to win a game. Right, into Sunday's games now. Leeds United against Burnley.
You want to go?
I've got no idea.
I'm going to say 2-0 Leeds.
Chris?
I'm going to say I think Burnley have got a chance in this game. I know they picked up a win tonight. They've really done well to plug the defence now. They've kept like 4 clean sheets in like 5 games, I think it is, or something like that. So I think this is going to be a really tight game. I'm going to go for a 1-0 Burnley win.
I'm going to go 2-2.
Okay. Lots of different opinions this week. Love it.
Results,
West Ham against Brighton.
I'm going to go 2-1 West Ham.
I'm going to say 3-1 West Ham.
I'm going to say
10-0 West Ham.
The reason I'm hesitating is that we've got Brighton are one of our bogey teams. We've always dropped points against them, but I feel like this season is a season where we are beginning to buck that trend with how we're playing and grinding out results. So I think we will win. I'm going to say 2-1 as well. Okay, Liverpool against West Brom.
Oh God, that is not a nice game.
4-0 Liverpool for me.
I'm going to go 5-0 Liverpool.
Oh, blimey. We're not giving West Brom much hope in this. I'm gonna go 3-0 Liverpool. I'll try and keep them from really smashing them. But yeah, I think that could easily be another cricket score in that game. And then finally, Wolves against Spurs.
I'm going to go 1-1.
Chris?
I'm going to go 2-1 Spurs.
I'm going to go 3-0 Spurs.
Oh, love it.
Sometimes you just got to back your team.
You do.
Excellent. Right. Okay. We will obviously go through all our predictions again on the weekend. And we'll also finish off this week's, I guess, with Chelsea still leading West Ham by a goal to 0 at just about half time now. So let's get into our team of the week. It's been difficult keeping up with all the games, actually, trying to pick team of the week. Dan, do you want to go first this time?
Can, if you like. So I've gone for Ariola in goal for Fulham. I think it's been really good for them all season, to be fair. But unfortunately, the defence sort of keep letting him down. And he played really well again at the weekend, even though Fulham only got a draw and they did concede. I've gone for him in goal. Justin had a great game for Leicester. I've gone for Michael Keane, and I don't actually know his first name, but Cash, I think it's for Villa.
Oh, Matty Cash, yeah.
Yeah. And Robertson. They're my 4 defenders. In midfield, I've gone for McTominay. I think, we've already spoken about him, and I think he's got to be in my team. Jordan Henderson, great game for Liverpool. It's quite a Liverpool and United team, this.
Understandably.
Yeah, Bruno Fernandes got 2 goals and assist. He's United's best player at the moment. I don't know where we'd be without him, to be honest. Salah, I was umming and ahhing about. I mean, he only came on as a sub, but he managed to get 2 goals. One of them was a great goal and an assist. So I thought, I couldn't really leave him out of my team, to be honest. The other sort of wing, I've put Jamie Vardy because he was sort of the deciding factor for Leicester against Spurs, sort of harrying Spurs defence. And Bobby Firmino, who doesn't very often get on the score sheet, but got himself 2 goals.
Yeah, 2 very well taken goals as well. For me, I'm actually, do you know what? I'm going to change my team ever so slightly from the one that I sent you guys. So I've gone for Areola in goal for effectively the same reasons that you stated, Dan. I think he's been very good for Fulham this season, but sometimes even when a goalkeeper plays well, if the team is struggling, it can often be lost how well a keeper's playing, a little bit like with Johnston with West Brom. I've gone for a back 3 of James Justin, Tyrone Mings, and the Fulham centre-half. I'm going to take a stab at pronouncing this guy's name. Adara Bio.
Yeah,
him.
I'm not going to correct you. No idea.
And then in midfield, I've gone for McTominay and Fred. I thought they were both absolutely outstanding against Leeds. I thought they ran the show in that midfield. It's one of those weeks where, like last week, we were struggling putting a team together because of the way the games were. There were lots of quite dull games where no one really stood out. But this week, you could probably pick 5 different teams.
Yeah.
I went for McTominay and Fred. I then went for Maddison and Jack Grealish. I thought Grealish was outstanding again. Apparently, he's created the most chances in all of the top tiers in leagues in Europe, which is quite the stat. And then up front, I went for Salah, Mane. The change I was going to make was Mane out for Firmino. I think Mane played very well, but I think Firmino in for the reasons you mentioned, and then Salah and Richarlison I've gone for Everton.
Very nice.
So I did forget to put the team of the week stuff out on social media last time, but I will do this week's one. It's been a bit of a nuts few days with work finishing for Christmas, so I just completely slipped my mind, unfortunately. Anyway, let's move on to our stat. Damn the stat, man.
So, no player has scored more own goals for Spurs in the Premier League than Toby Alderweireld, but his tally of 3 is level with which other Tottenham player? And the clue is it's not Toby Alderweireld.
I know I joked at the start of the show, but I genuinely think this is as good a guess as I've ever had for one of these.
Okay.
I think it might be Ledley King.
Well, I can tell you are absolutely wrong.
Damn it. Who is it?
It's Harry Kane.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh wow! I would have been here a few years before I guessed that one.
Yeah, there you have it.
Right. Okay. Well, let's see whether I can take that positive form. Do you know what? Last time we did this, I too much to Fran's bemusement and anger, I said this was the worst part of the show because of how it's been going for me this season with the score. But then I won last week. So I'm thinking maybe I say that every week. So it's time for the worst part of the show.
Well, that was a horrendous intro, Chris. Thank you so much.
Reverse psychology. Let's fucking go. Come on, I'm out and feeling it.
Smacking himself in the head.
Okay, welcome back to Football with Fran. So this week is I'm talking about all-time Premier League player stats. So I want to know all-time Premier League player appearances. So the top 10 players that had the most appearances in the Premier League of all time. So the way it's going to work, you're going to have 5 guesses each. Chris, you'll guess one, and then Dan will guess one. I'll write them all down, and then afterwards I'll tell you who's got the most right, and then I'll tell you the top 10 as well.
Okay. Right. Okay. Well, I feel like this particular person has come up a couple of times now, but I'm going to go with Gareth Barry.
Yeah. Dan? Don't know why I was questioning what your name was then.
Are we? So we're not saying the same players?
No, take it in turns,
no.
I guess.
Okay.
Because Chris technically had an advantage, but I mean he's losing quite considerably, so I think that's
James Milner.
Yeah, Chris.
Who did you say, Dan? Sorry.
James Milner.
James Milner. Okay. Ryan Giggs.
Yeah. Dan.
Petr Cech.
Yeah. Chris.
I'm going to go with Rad Friedel.
I've never heard of that, but yeah.
What is he on there?
I can't say, can I?
Oh, I see. I get you. We're just listing 5 players.
Yeah.
I thought we all had them right so far.
I
I know. That's what I must admit I did as well.
No. I said.
Yeah. Fair enough. I got you.
Okay.
Frank
No, it
Lampard.
makes sense.
Frank Lampard. Yeah.
Do we have to name different people or
Yes.
based on? Okay. I will go with Gary
both-
Neville.
Gary Neville.
That's his 5th, is it?
No, that's his. You both got 2. Well, Chris got 1 left now, so you've got 2 left.
Okay. Steven Gerrard.
Stevie G. Chris, one last guess.
One last guess. Okay. Oh man, this shouldn't really be this hard. John Terry.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Daniel.
Time's up.
Yeah.
Who did you say? I was too busy trying to be funny. Gary Cahill. Okay.
I think it's wrong.
I'm just marking it, so feel free to chat.
So, what'd you get up to this weekend, Dan?
Played football.
Did you score?
No, I didn't, but I assisted Lee.
I heard on the grapevine that you missed a hatful of chances again.
I missed 2, if that's a hatful.
Were they gilt edge chances or?
Well, I mean, one, I think Lee played over the top and I volleyed it outside the air and it just sort of rolled down the back of the net.
Okay. So.
Anywho.
It's a tie break.
Oh, we drew.
You drew. So, Dan, you correctly guessed James Milner and Frank Lampard.
Only 2.
Yeah. And Chris correctly guessed Gareth Barry and Ryan Giggs.
Wow,
So,
John Terry's not in there. Okay.
I thought Stevie G would have been.
No, remember this is appearances. Just
Well,
appearances.
Steven Gerrard was at
There's
Liverpool.
probably a lot of like players from yesteryear that we've not thought about.
So, tie-break question is whoever gets nearest to this. Frank Lampard was obviously up there in the amount of appearances. How many appearances did he make? And I'm just going to go with whoever gives me the closest number to the answer.
Okay.
If it's any help, he was 3rd in the list.
I should
Okay.
write mine down.
Yeah.
And then Chris.
I will obviously run through the list as well, but right, have you written it down?
Yeah, I've written mine down. So.
Right. Go on then, Chris.
I'm going to go with 645.
Dan.
I think I might be miles out.
Oh yeah, Dan, you're miles out. Chris, you won.
Yes. What did you put down?
350.
Well, the only reason I went high was because if he's third on the list, and Gareth Barry, I'm from memory, has got somewhere in the region of about 750.
I was literally looking right at you when I said it, but Frank Lampard was 609. So Chris smashed it.
Nice.
Not bad.
So on the list was also number 1 was Gareth Barry, second Ryan Giggs, third Frank Lampard, fourth David James.
Was that question 1 or was that the quiz?
What are you on about, Dan?
Chris has just won the quiz. Yeah.
Oh, I thought that was question 1.
No, I said a tie-break question.
Oh,
You all right, Dan?
What is happening here?
I thought that was question 1.
I don't know what's happened to you.
Is Dan beginning to get a little bit shaky in his boots that I've won 2 on a row now for the first time?
Just won the quiz.
Yeah, I said tie-break question.
Yeah, I thought you meant because we drew question 1.
Oh my god. So anyway,
I've gone with 350 to be fair.
right. Well, listen next time. Listen.
Thanks,
Number
Dan.
4 was David James. Number 5, James Milner. Number 6, Gary Speed.
Yeah.
Number 7, Emil Heskey.
Emil Heskey.
Number 8, Mark
Schwarzer.
9, Jamie Carragher.
Oh yeah.
And 10, Chris, you were almost there, but it was Phil Neville.
Phil Neville had more appearances in the Premier League than Gary Neville.
Everton for ages, didn't he?
Yeah, but Gary Neville, did he retire a bit earlier maybe? But
I'm on PremierLeague.com, so I'm hoping that my stats are right.
Right. Okay. Well, what does that do to the overall scores then?
That must be 8-5.
Yeah.
8-5.
8-5.
Chris, you're bringing it back. You're doing a United.
This is literally going to be. They'll make a movie of this if I come back and win.
If he wins, it'll be like a triumph.
Especially as I didn't even realise
that you'd won.
That's just complacency creeping into your game there. I feel.
I was literally looking at him. I knew he wasn't taking any of the names in, and then I looked at him to say David James, as if like, is that right? And then he was like, hold on.
Well, more quizzes like that. If basic quizzes really screw Dan over, let's have more of them, please. Excellent. Right. Well, thank you very much once again, Dan and Fran. We will be back with you again this weekend. So we will be recording on Sunday night and releasing next Monday on the 28th. So all that's left to say is from all of us here at the Kickabout, I say all of us, all 3 of us, have a really good Christmas. We know it's obviously a very different Christmas this year, but we hope that you are able to enjoy it in some way, shape or form, and keep safe. And we will speak to you again in a week's time. Bye.
Bye.